Hi guys, I'm Evgeny Liseyev and today I'm gonna talk about optimism. There are two types of people, optimists and those who are saying that they are not pessimists but realists. I guess you might know those people. In fact, maybe you're even one of them. Of course, there are only pessimists and optimists in reality. The most common way to explain the difference between the two is a story of a glass of water which is either a half full or a half empty one. I think that it's a misleading example. It's because optimism and pessimism are mainly about how we look into the future. When we are not sure about something, we either think positively or negatively. In a nutshell, optimists are those who are expecting good things to happen, whereas pessimists are those who expect bad things to happen. It's about our mindset. It applies to every situation in our life. Optimists tend to be confident even under difficult circumstances, whereas pessimists tend to be doubtful in the same situations. While it's so tempting to divide all of the people into two strict categories, as it is often the case, it simply doesn't work like that. There are people who are very optimistic, there are people who are very pessimistic, and there are those who are somewhere in between. And according to the research, the latest group is the biggest one. Pessimists are the minority. Now, let's take a deeper look into what science says about optimism and its impact on our life. A number of medical experiments showed that optimists are less likely to get into the depression, more likely to be in a good mood, and in general better coping with a health crisis. Be it cancer, different surgeries, or even the procedure which helps people to overcome the fertility problems, it's proven that optimism leads to less distress and more life satisfaction. Just to give you one example, Women's Health Initiative has conducted a huge experiment with over 95,000 participants across a period of 8 years. The results are very clear and striking. Optimistic people were less likely to develop a coronary heart disease, were less likely to die from the causes related to this disease, and then overall had a lower mortality level across the whole period of study. Another important point is whether the level of optimism or pessimism is stable throughout our whole life. There are experiments in favor of both options. Some say that the retention of this trait is stable along the period of 10 years, whereas others say otherwise. One of the occasions when the state of confidence might be vulnerable is a threat emergency. That is when our fears come into play. Optimism is also very helpful when we go through some transition in our life. Entering a college is a very stressful event. And once again, research shows a positive effect of the optimism on a first-year students in terms of their well-being, level of stress, dealing with the problems, and creating a social network. Optimism is positively associated with broad measures of engagement coping and problem-focused coping. So, on the one hand, optimists have more motivation to deal with the problems and are in general more inspired thanks to the fact that they believe that something beautiful is going to happen. At the same time as just waiting for something good to happen simply doesn't work, they also perform action towards improving the situation. They take active steps to ensure the positive outcomes in their life. It might sound a bit paradoxical that people who expect good things to happen actually perform actions to ensure that those actions do actually happen. It's because they understand that it's their actions that plays a key role in terms of what's going to happen in their life. And it's much simpler to start doing something when you have the belief that in the end of the day it's going to work out. Research proves that optimists are more resilient to the difficulties, persistent, and less likely to give up. Several studies confirm this effect with the case of drinking problems. A lot of evidence suggests that pessimism can lead to severe self-damaged effects, health problems, depression, and in some cases even suicide. The reason is, if people don't have any confidence about their future, it's very difficult to live a sustained life in present. On the contrary, optimism prolongs our life. Optimism is also very beneficial to our relationships. Research says that optimists are more supportive, are better listeners, and have a more positive engagement in conflict resolutions. You might ask me whether it's so one-sided and optimism has no drawbacks at all. Strictly speaking, no. As it is always the case, too extreme is always bad. So people who are too optimistic start to notice only the things that they like, completely ignoring those that doesn't fit their paradigm. So basically, they're just trying to ignore the reality, which is, of course, likely to lead to bad consequences. They don't quit when it's really time to quit, when the circumstances doesn't leave any other reasonable options. It has been confirmed by the science in the example of gambling. Optimistic people are less likely to stop in the right moment and are more likely to lose a lot of money. So it's essential, once again, not to overdo. Balance is the key here. By the way, I have made a video which is specifically dedicated to the question of balance in our life. Please, if you want to see it, take a look at the description, or it should appear somewhere here. The overall conclusion from the science is pretty clear. Optimists tend to live a longer, healthier, and better lives than that of pessimists. Now, I hope you are convinced that it's worth to be an optimist. Let's finish with the science part and dive into the step-by-step process how you can use this optimistic approach to achieve your goals. Step number 1. Assess the current state realistically. The first step is to realize what you currently have. It doesn't matter whether it's something good or bad, you just must make sure that you know the situations you are currently in. Let's take an example of learning a foreign language. You must assess your real level here. Maybe you read very good, maybe you understand the language very good because you have seen a lot of movies, but due to the lack of practice your spoken English is bad, or vice versa. The point is, you must know your strengths and weaknesses so you could define your steps for the future improvement of the situation. Optimism plays a very important role here. Having in mind the real picture of what's going on, optimism gives you the confidence that you can improve the situation. Step number 2. Define your realistic goals. The next step is to create a plan of how you're going to improve the current situation. It's very important not to overestimate yourself here, as unrealistic goals could be very overwhelming. People normally work hard if the chance to succeed is about 50%. They know that it's not impossible, but at the same time, they know it's not going to happen automatically, so they really have to put a lot of effort into it. If you want to know more about how to create your goals so it really works for you, please feel free to take a look at my video about New Year resolutions, where I share some tips on the topic. In our example with learning a foreign language, the goal could be to learn for at least 60 minutes every day the things that are most important for you. At this point, if you are still not confident enough in yourself, try not to allow other people who might be skeptical about your goals to influence you in a negative way. Instead, just focus on the process, be consistent, and with the time, I guarantee you're gonna see the results. When I was a kid, I started to play chess. A lot of people told me that it's not gonna work for me. They said I'm not talented enough, I'm not hardworking enough, and it's better for me just to quit. But I liked to play chess, I enjoyed it, and I was very optimistic throughout my whole life, and I also wanted to win. So at the end of the day, I ended up becoming an international master in chess, winning a lot of competitions. Step 3. Perform the necessary actions. It's essential to understand that optimism is not about thinking that you are already the best, there is nothing else to do, and you can just lay on a sofa enjoying your greatness. Optimism is about the confidence that if you perform everything that can be done and you don't stop in case of possible failures along the way, eventually you are gonna succeed. Of course, your plan might not be ideal and you would need to calibrate it throughout the process, but the key here is to dedicate yourself consistently towards your dream. As Muhammad Ali once famously said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit, suffer now, and you're gonna live the rest of your life as a champion. Actions would also motivate you more, give you more optimism, and push you forward. The key here throughout the whole process is to train yourself to think and act in the ways optimistic people are thinking and acting. So, optimism has a great number of advantages in terms of your health, relationships, dealing with the stressful situations, and in general improves your life satisfaction. Being a pessimist, on the other hand, gives you less chances to achieve your goals. Like, if you're not confident enough, how you're supposed to overcome all of the difficulties which for sure would come along the way of your journey to success. Even if you are currently really bad at something, constantly thinking about it doesn't help you at all. At the same time, thinking that you're already the best and there is nothing to do doesn't bring you anywhere either. So, the smart approach, in my opinion, should be first of all to get a clear picture of your current state, your strengths and weaknesses, then define your long-term and short-term goals, and finally dedicate all of your power into achieving those goals. Optimism would definitely come in handy. It's very important to believe that no matter how difficult it could be in the process, in the end of the day, you're gonna eventually succeed. I hope I have been of service to you today. As you might have noticed, I have tried a new format in this video, so I would really be happy to know whether you like it or not. I would appreciate your feedback here. Put your thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to get more educational content. And see you later.